Hey team, and welcome. I'm your host, Carrie, creator of Mother Life, your destination for all things real talk and parenting. This is the IRL group chat, where we talk about the wild balancing act of pursuing careers and passions while also doing our best to show up for our kids. Join me every week as I sit down with some badass parents in my closet and we talk about their careers, kids, and relationships and all of the weird shit that comes up when you're trying to balance the seemingly impossible. Stranger than fiction, when the stories in our real lives play out more poetically than any work of fiction could. The older we get, the more you can start to see the stories that swirl around us, the threads that bind us to people, to places, all of the little fibers that come together to tell the story of us. Today's guest is a woman that I think her childhood self would recognize, most likely with a big beaming smile. She was a girl whispering her dreams into the walls of her childhood home, scrubbing the window screens extra clean to make sure those dreams came true. Now Sabrina Soto, the fully actualized woman and mother, is doing much the same, helping other people channel who they are into the spaces they inhabit. The main difference now, of course, is that instead of weaving dreams in her own private spaces, she's making magic for others under the lights, camera, action of television. As a mom, she's showing her daughter how to love, how to prioritize taking care of yourself, and how to surround yourself with people who will lift you up. Sabrina's TV career has been vast. She's been host and designer on a number of HGTV shows like The High-Low Project, Design Star, Real Estate, Intervention, and Get It Sold. She was a cast member of TLC's Trading Spaces, a judge on the ABC series The Great Christmas Light Fight. Most recently, you can catch Sabrina as the designer on the CBS primetime series Secret Celebrity Renovation. These days, you can hang out with Sabrina on her bi-weekly podcast, Designing Life with Sabrina Soto, and soon you can hang out with her on Hulu. The Sabrina Soto Show will launch March 15th. And before we get started, let me say this is probably the wildest and most disjointed conversation we have ever had in the closet, and I am so glad it was Sabrina who was here for it. Between attempting to have a broken washing machine replaced to my bra hanging off the back door of the closet, this woman came into my home having never met me and could hang. Let us all hope we have a Sabrina in our lives. No punches were pulled, and also this was the safest place to be an absolute lunatic. Enjoy. Sabrina, welcome to the closet. Are you ready?
I don't know.
Let's find out. So, okay. I gave you the spiel, what we do here.
Yes, I'm here for it.
And I'm laughing because you came into my home. And you know, I don't know if you have this. Like when you're a housekeeper, if you have a cleaning lady, somebody who helps keep your life in order.
You like clean up before they come over.
The pre-clean. I was like, am I going to do this for Sabrina or not? Because like.
Did you pre-clean?
Of course I didn't. There was no way. I didn't have the bandwidth, but I really thought about it. But I was just like, it wouldn't be authentic to the experience of being here if my house wasn't a mess.
I have walked into thousands of houses and I mean, my friends feel the same way. Like they don't have me over sometimes if their house is a mess, but I always remind them. I've walked into a house and when we started to clear out the furniture to start painting, there was a dead squirrel underneath a sofa. So if you don't have a dead squirrel underneath your sofa, we're good.
We're doing great.
Yeah.
Have you ever like dealt with like a hoarder situation?
Yes. I just told you there was a dead squirrel underneath the sofa.
But like that could just be negligence. I don't know.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
No, she didn't even know it was there, but she wondered where that smell was. She was like, now I know where that smell was coming from.
That makes me feel better. Okay, great. Then like, we'll just leave my errant bra that's hanging out in the corner of the recording.
Cute. It's really padded.
It's like, it's not padded, it's lined.
Oh, sorry. Okay, right.
I mean, we're dealing with like a CD situation, but now it's cool to show your nipples. So like I might have to go
take out the padding.
Right. Now I might have to go more sheer.
Yes, the sheer.
Or I have to get the Skims ones. You know, have you seen the Skims bras that
not a fan.
Have the fake nipple?
That's ridiculous. But I always have active nipples, so it doesn't matter.
I might have to revisit my nipple game. My husband would be thrilled. Okay, so welcome to the closet.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm so happy. Now, I am curious because I always do a little bit of research, but I don't try and like dig so deep that I don't have any surprises.
What did you Google?
Various things, mainly Sabrina Soto.
Oh, thank you. Good. That's a good start.
Yeah, but where did you grow up?
I grew up, I was born in Miami, then we moved to New Jersey. So I only really remember New Jersey.
Okay.
And then half and half all of my life. So it'd be New Jersey, California, New York City, California, back and forth all of my life.
And so what was making that draw back and forth?
The first time
parents?
my dad, yes, my dad's job, and then he left, and then my career would bring me back to the East Coast a lot.
Got it. Okay. So little Sabrina is growing up primarily in New Jersey to start?
Until junior high.
Miami, until junior high.
And then high school actually here in Burbank.
What a fucking time to move.
Yeah, I know. My parents gave a zero fucks.
So you're like, that's like Mean Girls age, and you're rocking up to Los Angeles.
Yes.
Burbank's a little friendlier.
Not really. I was actually talking to a friend of mine about the bullies in my grade, because my daughter is now 9, and last night I saw some bullyish behavior happening, which I was so shocked that it's happening so early. But anyway, back to tell you, no, it kind of started in junior high. They weren't nice, but that's okay.
I mean,
I'm from New Jersey. I can handle it.
It's like, you talking to me?
Yeah. I'm
to
a
me?
Cuban Capricorn from New Jersey. Like, we're good.
So you're growing up in New Jersey. Dad is not in the picture?
Dad is. He was a journalist. He was a producer for the news. So he worked for the Today Show and,
Got it.
Telemundo, Univision.
And was your mom working as well?
She was a homemaker and like a party planner. She loved decorating, which is weird that I kind of merged television and decorating and, entertaining.
And growing up
I guess I was looking for both of their acceptance and approval, and I got neither. So,
that feels...
Bravo, Sabrina.
Yeah. But maybe you're having fun? I'm pretty sure you're having fun.
I'm having the best time.
So you grow up in this, and in terms of sort of parenting roles dynamic, when did they get divorced? How old were you?
And I was 14.
Also
they
a
separated.
real zinger of a timing.
Yeah. And then weirdly, when they were getting a divorce, my mom flew to Florida. And that night that she left me in the house by myself was the Northridge earthquake. And I was home alone.
What did you do?
What are you talking about? I thought the world was ending. I think I ran outside in the middle of the street. Yeah, but it was the middle of the night.
See, so I am from Florida, and so I could really tell you about hurricane preparedness.
But not an earthquake. Yeah, there's going to be an earthquake.
My husband has tried to give me the speech several times, this is what you do, kid, doorway, whatever. It just goes through one ear, out the other every time.
I don't know about the doorway thing. I still don't kind of call bullshit on that. I'm just going to run outside, But okay. Which I know you should do.
Earthquake happens right now. What are we doing?
I'm going to run outside.
But so you're going to go all the way down
I'll probably run home.
Okay, great.
Since I'm your neighbor.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so you're alone during the Northridge earthquake. Parents get divorced at 14. That's really tough.
Yes. Well, 16, it was when they finally did it. But yeah.
So leading up to that point, what were the things you were really into as a kid?
I was really into spirituality. I was that weird kid. I loved
were you a witch?
I loved witchcraft.
Yeah.
I would go to Psychic Eye.
Love.
I loved, I still loved motivational, books and self-help books. I was that weird high schooler that was in the self-help section. And I loved crafts with my mom. I loved all the things that I still love now.
And what was drawing you to self-help books when you're at that age?
I'm sure I was lost, and my parents were, I was going through a hard time, and I didn't have access to a therapist or anything like that. So I think I was just trying to figure out what the fuck was going on.
But what a proactive bee that you were I'm
a Capricorn. I am a Capricorn. I'm a DIYer, girl.
You know what? Now that I live in LA, I really need to read up on the zodiac stuff, because our au pair, within a week of being here, was what sign are you?
What sign are you?
An Aquarius.
Okay.
And she was mm-hmm. And, people who are into this stuff are always uh-huh. And I'm what the fuck does that mean? I need to start looking. And then the other day she looked at me and she goes, you cry too much for an Aquarius. Usually Aquariuses are making other people cry.
Well, how old are you?
38.
Okay, yeah. You cry too much.
What are you talking about?
I don't even know.
Crying. But she was just wow, you're really in touch with your feelings. Normally Aquariuses are a little bit more cold and sort of reserved and distant when it comes to that sort of stuff.
Well, you're the new Aquarius.
I'm a new age Aquarius, I guess. So you're into trying to figure out what your path is from a pretty early age.
Yes.
You've got the things you're into. You keep saying you're that weird kid in high school, or
because everybody else was doing normal, in 8th grade, everybody wrote down in their yearbook what their favorite band was.
Yeah.
And down the whole list was New Kids on the Block. Really, it was just New Kids on the Block. And then there was one person who did something different. It was me.
What'd you do?
NWA. Like, I was always that girl that just wasn't going to do what everybody else was doing.
Amazing.
Yeah.
But like friends, were you just on your own?
No, I had friends. Some of my friends from 7th grade are still my friends now.
Because, like, don't you feel like now, especially you have a daughter that's starting to really be at that age, I feel like everything is kind of cool. That's why when you say there's bullying, like, what are they bullying about?
Oh, my gosh.
Like
last night, it was a fight over whether or not they knew the lyrics to Sabrina Carpenter's Espresso. I swear to God.
Okay.
I'm not kidding. I'm not making that up. That's what the fight was about.
Okay.
And you don't know what you're talking about, and you're bad at math. It turned into then you're bad at math. It was just, I can't make this up.
So, like, kids are just going to be shitty because kids are kind of shitty.
And I think that, like, now that I'm going to be 48 years old, I realize that when somebody is a bully or shitty to you or whatever, it has more to do with what's going on with them than anything about you.
Let them?
Girl. Shout out Mel Robbins.
Yeah. No, absolutely. We can only decide how we respond to somebody's bad juju.
I know, but when you're 9, you don't get that.
That's hard.
Yeah.
I think I kind of did. And this is where the like maybe cold callous Aquarius thing came from is like
old school Aquarius.
The old school Aquarius 1.0. I think maybe inside I was dying a little bit, but I would never let anybody else see that.
Right.
Like I just like buried that down deep. But if like
but don't you think it's a girl thing, like a woman thing? Like we all put up this facade that everything's okay.
But now we cry. Or if you're
now we're told that we can have a voice.
Yeah. And an opinion and that it's totally fine to cry.
Right.
So my parents got divorced when I was 2, which is a very different thing because you don't really remember.
Easier, though, I think. Yeah.
You don't have the scar tissue. You don't remember the before.
Yeah.
Leading up to that point, was there like tension in your house? Was it stressful? Or was it like, did you feel as a kid like, oh, where is this coming from?
No, I mean, I think that it was a weird story because I don't remember them fighting, but I mean, I do remember fights, but I think nothing that crazy. But I do remember when my dad left, it was almost like a deep breath because there was tension. But then financially, he took everything with him in a sense. So we ended up, it was just like overnight, my life changed from we were pretty comfortable to I was breaking into my neighbors' houses to get food because I had nothing.
Fuck.
Yeah.
The sort of dissonance between being emotionally feeling a lot more comfortable, but financially really not being comfortable.
Yes. And it took a toll. I mean, I started working. So they broke up when I was 14 or separated. And I think I had to get a special permit at that time to start working because I was too young to work. So most of the jobs I had to do were under the table. And
what kind of jobs were you doing?
My first job was at a modeling agency, and it was like recruiting those people to sign up for the modeling school.
Oh my God, like at the mall or at the grocery store? It's like, hey, kid, you've got it.
Yeah, no, we would have these things like on the radio where on Saturdays come to this conference, and I would be there. And when I would see families that I could tell then weren't going to really necessarily, like I knew something wasn't right about this school, and I would be like, get out of here. This isn't like, just get out.
Grim.
Yeah.
Grim. Okay, so you're doing that, and then what other? So were there any aspects of any of these jobs early on that you were like, I kind of like this?
No.
Or were they
my
just
next
like,
job was at Hot Dog on a Stick making lemonade. Like, no.
Can you ever to this day eat a hot dog on a stick?
Yes, absolutely, and I can make an amazing lemonade.
You know what? I appreciate that. I folded sweaters in high school at
The Gap?
American Eagle.
Oh, okay.
And there was this one CD that they used to just play on repeat.
What was it?
It was like a mix, like a house mix of whatever, like B-list music was
And
popular
if you
at the
listen to
time.
that now,
If I hear it
PTSD.
now, I smell the like shitty Abercrombie knockoff of the American Eagle, whatever it is. Like it floods my whole senses. Can't do it.
I can imagine.
Also, I 100% fuck with a hot dog on a stick.
Yeah, I mean,
Love.
They were $1.50 at the time.
What a bargain.
I know.
Feeding people.
And I got free food every day.
Some would argue you were a humanitarian doing that
I think
job.
so. And I now know what their secret ingredient is.
What is it?
It was citric acid.
Oh, I feel like
powdered.
Powdered.
But they had it in this big jar that like said secret ingredient. Like it had it so people could see you putting it in and everybody would wonder what it is.
and it was citric acid.
I hope that I'm not going to get in trouble for saying that, but I feel like it's been 30 years, so I think I'm okay,
I think you're probably pretty safe. Also, of all of the shit that could go in your food, like there's a lot worse stuff you could have said.
That's
like,
true.
I'm still trying to follow this rabbit hole of the Hershey's chocolate conspiracy that they use curdled milk, like whether or not that's true.
What?
Yeah, because to like help with the flavor. So it's anyway, citric acid's fine. Okay, so you're working jobs, parents are divorced, you're finding yourself on your own terms through crystals, juju, self-help books.
All the things.
And is there any point where you start to decide this is the type of thing I want to do when I grow up?
I never even thought it was available to me. I just thought I was going to make a living like a 9 to 5.
Right.
I never thought that I'd be able to be creative and happy in my career because I think I was just in a place in my life that I was just trying to survive.
Yeah.
So it was paycheck to paycheck. I moved out when I think I was, we lost the house and then I was basically homeless. So
with your mom?
Yeah, but I went to New York and like lived on a couch, my cousin's couch for a while. Got a job at the Harley Davidson Cafe. Seriously. Nice. And just found my way and then moved back here, got my own apartment. I mean, I'm just been hustling since
scrapping
I was 14.
It together.
I'm telling you.
Eesh. And at what point does it pivot to being a little bit more directional and proactive and saying like, hey, I'm really good at these things. I'm going to make this a business. You know what one of my husband's biggest complaints is? He hates how I organize or don't organize the kid shit, especially the diaper bag. He claims that if he knew where to easily find stuff, he'd use it more and, by proxy, take the kids out more on his own. Well, game on, sir. Get your own bag. The Gojo Backpack by Silverback Supply Company is the move. Designed by a dad who was also sick of his wife's diaper bag shenanigans, it's the perfect bag for living life with a baby. It's got a padded sleeve for your laptop or tablet, bungees to secure that blankie or stuffy, a built-in changing pad, and more. I know the tradition is that you buy a cutesy diaper bag for new moms at the baby shower. But what if we flipped the script, started buying gear for the dads, set the tone that they're equals in this thing right from the get-go? If you've got a dad to young kids, a dad that's expecting, or really any parent that's into minimalist, modern design and needs to lug some kid shit around, hit them with something different. Go to silverbacksupplyco.com and use discount code MUTHA, MUTHA, for 20% off and free shipping and handling. I'll put a link in the show notes.
I was 29 years old and I was doing mortgages and staging and I was working at an office and I was at Baja Fresh during the lunch rush. And I remember being in line going, I don't belong here. I don't belong in this line at a 9 to 5 working for a company. Like something wasn't right. And I think that same week I watched The Secret, which back then.
Oh my God, that was
before Oprah.
That was the sauce.
It still is. So it was 2006. This was before it was ever on Oprah, before it was turned into a book. You could only watch it by paying $4.95 to watch it online. And I watched it that night. And the next day I found my job on HGTV.
Now, for our listeners who are either have come into sentience post-Secret or aren't aware of it, the general thesis with The Secret is you speak it into existence, right? If you want it, you can have it.
Yes, but what
am I missing?
Well, what I think that they touched on, but a lot of people don't realize, it's not about just speaking it into existence. What ended up happening was I watched The Secret. The next day, I found a ad on Craigslist they were looking for a designer who happened to have TV experience. I had TV experience and I'd done staging, but I didn't do both together. Anyway, before anybody called me for the job, I just started in my mind preparing for a TV job. I had nothing. Nobody was calling me.
Yeah.
But I started working out. I started eating differently. I started just preparing myself for the opportunity if I tell you there was no opportunity in front of me, but I was so convinced that I was able to create this, it ended up happening. So 16 weeks later, I was in DC shooting my first show.
So that does sound a lot more nuanced than what I thought this was. Because there was one person in my life who was so into The Secret. I actually recently was going through some boxes and found, I want to say it was
the vision board.
No, it was like, was it a VHS or a CD pack? But it was like
a box set?
Yes. It was like the secret box set.
Ooh, I want that.
I don't know where it is now, but I was going through boxes recently and I found it. And I just remember this person in my life who is deeply spiritual and I think just like connected to the universe in her own way. She was just like, you just have to focus on the end goal. Like,
That's
you have to
right.
focus on the end goal. But what you just said, which I think is really important, is you also put in work.
You have to put in the work. You can't just sit at home. So it's like preparing yourself so that when the opportunity comes, you're available for it, you're ready for it, and your confidence level is there. And I think a lot of the times we hope that these things will happen, but we don't necessarily put ourselves into, and I can get a little too new agey, but in the vibration of that same goal, whatever it is, whether it's finding your husband or getting the house or the car or the job or just health, whatever it may be, you have to take steps. Yeah. And I just took the steps. And I was married at the time. My husband thought I was fucking crazy.
Wait, how old were you?
29.
So you were, and tell us about this, because you're not married now, right?
No.
So tell me about, when did your ex-husband enter the picture? How old were you?
I don't know, 26 years old.
26, and were you looking for love?
I don't fucking remember. I don't know. I'm from.
He was a pretty face. What happened?
Yeah, I mean, he was great. Everything was fine. We were like friends, and then we got married. But I knew something wasn't right there. If I'm really being honest.
Yeah.
But I just thought that's what everybody else was doing, and that's what you do when you're like approaching your 30s, and then you have 2 kids, and then that's it. Then your life's over.
Right.
Just kidding. But I just thought I was just kind of following the herd. I was being a little lemming.
Yeah, and you knew that you wanted to be a mom?
No, I never thought I was going to have kids at all. Ever. So I ended up getting a dog, and I love the name Harper. So I named my dog Harper because I'm like, well, I'm not going to have kids. And then I met Olivia's dad and really weirdly wanted to become a mom out of nowhere. I was like adamant about it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And obviously turns out to have been a great decision.
She's the best thing that's ever happened to me.
But at the time, if you come into, I was always not like, I need to have kids. I wasn't like playing with dolls when I was little. I wasn't that kind of kid.
Yeah.
Similarly, when I met my husband and like our relationship progressed, I was like, oh, this makes sense with you. Like, I understand that.
Yes.
But when you're coming into motherhood and you haven't actually thought about it very much, like I didn't think about like, what kind of mom do I want to be? What do I think my role is? Because I had been so career focused up until that point.
Right.
So for you, when you become a mom, how old were you when you...
38.
You were 38. So my age now. So you guys had been together for 10 years.
Yes. No, but this was, so you're putting 2 people together.
2 people together. Okay.
Yeah. So
married.
I was married. We divorced soon after I left to shoot my first show, met Olivia's dad. We were together for 10 years, and then I had Olivia. But then we broke up when she was 2 years old.
Okay. Now
just like you with your parents.
Yeah, I know. And you know what? Here you are in my closet. Everything's fine. So wait.
Full circle moment.
So let's rewind. So ex-husband, interestingly, a feature of this podcast is a lot of people have a quickie little first marriage.
Yes.
Where we try it on. It's very popular on the pod.
I still think he's an amazing person, and weirdly, I see him all the time.
Funny. Because
his child goes to my daughter's, where they go to school together.
So funny.
Such a small world.
But it's like you try it on.
Yeah.
You learn some lessons.
Learned a lot.
But I also think it does take a set of balls to say, you know what? I'm not staying in this, actually.
I think it takes a lot of balls to leave anything.
Yeah. Inertia is strong.
Anything. Yeah, like even a home, a relationship, a job, anything, any habit. It takes balls because your brain is wired to stay safe, and safe is what you know, and what you don't know is scary.
Yeah. Even if what you know is kind of maybe not safe.
Yeah, that's why the devil you know is better than the devil you don't know.
Yes. So, okay, so
I'm not calling him a devil.
No, he's great. We love him.
Great.
We see him at school drop-off. He's wonderful. Okay, so you guys end your marriage, and then where are you in your career at that point?
I'm shooting HGTV, and everything's going well. And then we stayed together for 10 years. Yeah, everything was great. My HGTV career lasted 12 years.
That's huge. In TV that's
world,
crazy.
It's huge, of nonstop shooting, like episode after episode, season after season. It was great.
And leading up to that, were you building a private business?
No, I found this job on Craigslist.
That is fucking wild.
Yeah.
You were just like, I've got good taste and a great personality and a beautiful
right.
face. Like,
Well, I
let's
didn't know
do
about
this.
the last one.
You do.
But thank
I can
you.
say that. I can say that. I wasn't.
I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I really talk about imposter syndrome. I was in full panic every day I would show up to set. Like, oh my God, they want me to like teach people how to hang a chandelier. I'm going to kill myself.
So funny. And on the sidelines, do they have somebody who knows how to hang the chandelier?
No. See, this is what.
So are you Googling how to like, okay, what's
I'll tell you this is what I think I would love to teach my daughter and anybody else is I think a lot of people fake it until they make it. But once you make it, you have to fucking put in the work.
Right.
And or you'll lose that opportunity. So I had to move to DC in order to have the show work and film it. So I didn't know a person. I didn't have one friend there. So I would leave set around 6. I would go to this place called Books A Million in DuPont Circle in DC. I'd find any book that I could get my hands on about DIY, carpentry, design, and I would use it as like a university. Every night I would have pages and pages of notes. I would take myself to dinner and just write and write and write until I'd fall asleep. And then next day I'd do the same thing.
Wow. This is one of these things about, I think, a lot of these shows that people watching them don't appreciate is like, for instance, with Selling Sunset. Like, are these women...
I've never seen it.
Squeeze me?
I know. I've never seen that show.
You know what?
We'll get to
You
that
seem
later.
smart. That's probably for the best. Keep your brain cells. But what is, so fun about the show is like you get to see them selling big real estate, right? And then you come to realize like, how many of you are actually registered real estate agents? How many of you are actually making these transactions? And some of them are.
I bet all of them are. Well, they should be licensed.
I think.
But it doesn't matter. But yes, but like, the whole point is, I know what you're saying. Like,
you know what I mean?
A lot of it is BS.
Yes.
But a lot of everything that we're looking at is BS. Like social media, like, come on.
It's the world
Don't
of
get
BS.
me started. It's, yes.
This, in part, this podcast was a little bit of an antidote to all of the stuff because I was consuming so much stuff about parenting and I was just like, but where is your nanny? Or like, where is the housekeeper? Or what does your partner do? Because it was always so one piece of a story that makes you feel so inadequate.
Of course.
Because you think that Nara Smith is, do you know who that is?
Nope.
You're for the best again. Is in a ball gown making homemade gummy bears for her kids while also keeping a home. It's like, no, she's not.
No, she's not.
She's not. And
the reason why I don't even watch Selling Sunset and all of that is because if you do walk in my house, it is organized. But I don't, that's also to like, I don't give myself enough of a break to watch those things because I do have everything organized and clean.
Yeah.
So, that's also not a great thing to be either, to have everything just so perfect.
Do you think, though, that some of that comes from the fact that, like, you did grow up with a lot of insecurity and you, like, have this thing that is yours and you're fiercely protecting what you have and where you got to?
So, yeah, of course. I think when my parents divorced, I became obsessed with the house. And it was, I would come home from school or after work and, like, take off the screens from the windows and wash them in the backyard and put them back on. But the whole reason was like, I had this unspoken agreement with the house. Like, I'll take care of you if you take care of me.
Oh, sweet.
And that's so what created my passion for what I do now.
Yeah.
I believe that the house has energy, just like you and I do.
Yeah.
And if you put good energy and take care of the house, it'll take care of you too. Like you walk into a house and it just feels stale and weird.
100%. People
don't understand the energetics of objects.
Yeah.
Everything has energy to it.
And like setting an intention, I think for me, I always knew, while I didn't know I wanted to be a mom, I always knew what kind of house I wanted to have. I always wanted to have the house that somebody could like stop by, and if I'm in my pajamas and a fucking mess, it doesn't matter. Like, I'll still make you a cup of coffee. You can sit on my fucked up couch that probably has coffee stains all over it, whatever. But like, I always wanted to be the place where people could come
for comfort.
Feel super comfortable.
Yeah.
And not everybody has that goal, but that's always my goal.
Yes. But it all has to do with our childhood.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. I just like always wanted, and again, I think it goes back to the divorce thing a bit, is like, I had this vision of the like, not cleavers, but just like a cozy house where people all hung out together and there was warmth and love and whatever. And while I had that to some extent to different degrees separately in my parents' home, I like wanted my own home base. That was like what I wanted it to be.
And you've obviously created that.
I think we're doing a good job.
I didn't
so
see the
far.
coffee stains though, but I'll look later.
You will be shocked what this couch has been through. It's from Bob's Discount Furniture.
I have the best fabric cleaner. I found it last week. I was just going to post about it today. It's magic. I don't care if it's made by like salmon semen. I don't care what's in that bottle, but it's magic.
We'll be putting that in the show notes for our listeners. I will need to see it. I'm almost like it's a lost cause. No. Trust me. Trust me. It's a dark blue couch, and my husband and I talk about it all the time because I'm like, let's get a new couch. And he's like, it's going to just get fucked up for the
you
next
have a 14-month-old.
Yeah, just leave it. And I'm like, what about a couch cover? He's like,
ew.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
Like, I'm just like desperate, and he's just like, just leave it. Like, this is who we are right now. And he's right. Yeah. So that's where we are. Okay, so for you find this early passion for it because it's not just interior design for you. It's like a whole of house and life.
It's house life. It's, I came obviously from nothing, and I've created a nice like life for my daughter and I. And I want other people to understand that you could have a different life wherever you are, whatever you want, and without the connections, without the... It's okay. She didn't put her phone on silent.
I did. It says do not disturb. Oh, I know what I
Oh, you have somebody important that texted.
It was my husband.
Oh, there it is.
Telling me the dishwasher people are here. Are you here for the dishwasher? Yeah. 4249.
Oh God.
Sorry. I'm a white girl. What do you want? You're really in it with us today. Yeah, that was
It's life.
Where were we?
Creating just like that anybody can create the life that they want.
Yes.
Really. And that can mean whatever it means to you, but being able to motivate people to understand that they can redesign their own life.
And for you were with Olivia's dad for 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
At what point in that you said, okay, let's try and have a kid? Or did you not?
Oh, no. I was very adamant. Like, I'm going to have a kid. And if you're not going to do it with me, let's figure that out because I'm not getting any younger. And we tried once to have Olivia and it hit.
In Olivia's year.
Yeah. Once. We tried once.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you're 38 at the time. In that time of like being pregnant, did you guys have conversations about what you both envision your roles to be as parents?
No. And the truth is, I was such they call it a geriatric mom.
Yes. Oh, yes.
I had lived my life. I'd worked my ass off for 20 years. I was older. I didn't feel like the need to go party anymore. So I had, and I know this sounds crazy, but I had a little bit of a trial run getting Harper, the dog, because of the steps that I took of reading the books and get everything.
It doesn't sound crazy to me. See, I get annoyed with people who are like, oh my God, it's not at all the same. Or like, you have no idea. I'm like, okay, you know what? I have a dog and I have children. And I do genuinely believe that having the dog taught me a lot about myself.
It teaches you, yes.
And my relationship and what the division of labor was going to look like.
100%. And that's something, you can't just leave the house. There's something that you're responsible for to walk and feed. And yes, it's not a human, but it was a good trial of like taste.
Yes.
And so when Olivia came, I did the same thing. I read all of the books and tried to listen to all of the podcasts. But what I've realized is that every parent is different and every kid is different.
Yep.
And I'm not going to listen to all of my friends' advice because they are not me and their kids aren't Olivia. And good for them. Maybe that works for their house. And I don't really want to emulate everybody's house and the way that they run things. Like, I'm going to do it my way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And not everyone has to agree with me.
Well, I think it's really interesting because we have a society of lots of different people. Like, that is the world. There's just lots of different kinds of people who like lots of different kinds of things.
Lots of opinions.
And yet, when it comes to like trying to parent, the funnel gets really narrow of like, we're all trying to achieve sort of the same outcome.
Yeah.
And that's not realistic.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, some kids are going to be more introverted and more shy, and like, that's fucking fine. We have those people in the world.
Right.
And
but now maybe they have ADHD. Like, that's what everybody's saying. Like, oh, your kid's a little shy. Oh, maybe they're on the spectrum. No, like, kids are different, and that's okay.
And by the way, people have existed on the spectrum before there was a spectrum.
Right.
And it's just like, we can do it all. You can parent it all.
I just don't like that everybody gives everybody an opinion when you don't ask for it.
Yes.
Like, if I ask, and by the way, I do ask sometimes.
Yeah.
But
you know who you're asking.
Yeah, well, I mean, sometimes I make the mistake and I ask my mother, but other than that, yeah, I mean, like, I'll ask my sister who I respect, and she has 4 kids, and she's been there, done that, you know?
Wait, where is your sister in this whole story of your childhood? Sabrina, this is a real, like, I need a chalkboard.
I'm telling you, this is going to be a 2-part. It's a long story.
Wait. So where is your sister in this story? How much older, do you say?
2 years.
2 years
she's
older.
My best friend, but she kind of left to live with a friend when my parents, because we didn't have heat in the house.
Yeah.
I slept on the floor of my master bathroom because
in New Jersey?
No, here in Burbank.
Oh, in Burbank.
Because the HVAC system in the whole house was broken, and the house had marble floors, so it was like an ice box, and it was the only heat that was electric in the ceiling. So I would sleep on the toilet next to the toilet because it was the only warm room in the house.
And she was like, "Fuck this."
Yeah, of course.
She was like 16.
Yeah, she was like, "I'm good."
Yeah.
So she wasn't around during those last years.
That's tough.
Yeah, she's my best friend.
And she's here now.
Yeah, she
and
lives
you guys
in Valencia.
And
we talk every day. She really did it.
And is she partnered?
Yes. Her husband is a chef. They have 4 kids. They live in Valencia. My mom lives with them. It's a whole thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
You should have her on your podcast.
She sounds very busy. Okay. So you had Olivia. You were 10 years into the relationship when you had Olivia?
Yep.
And then 2 years of having Olivia.
Or actually, no, 8 years into the relationship when I had Olivia, 10 years together when we broke up. So.
Got it. So what were those early years like for you becoming a mom? Did it rock your world? Were you like, I got this? Was there anything that you felt from a professional standpoint?
I think the hardest part for me was breastfeeding and then working and not having my independence of being able to I need sleep. So that was hard. So making my own schedule, everything was, I felt like up in the air.
Yeah.
You know, I couldn't sleep. She was cluster feeding. I was trying to breastfeed. I was trying to work. And then I had to start traveling for work 8 weeks after giving birth. And I had an emergency C-section. So a lot of it was just a lot of juggling.
Viscerally challenging, physically challenging.
Physically challenging. And the guilt that I had of not being able to breastfeed the way that everybody else was online really killed me.
Yeah. And that is such a common thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I know, unfortunately, so many of my friends have gone through that, and myself included.
I think when I finally I don't want to say gave up, but gave myself a pass and gave her formula, I was like a different person.
Yeah.
Like I could live again. I could be, I didn't have to be in bed all the time. And then I also had the guilt that she wasn't getting enough food because I couldn't pump. So I didn't even know if she was even eating.
That is the most, for somebody who is really into data, that was the hardest part, I think, for me, of just being like, how much is going in the body? And I know you can do weighted feeds and da-da-da-da-da, but I had a baby in a pandemic and there was none of that. Those tools were available. That is tough.
Yeah.
And then as far as your partnership, were there like discussions about this is your job in parenting, this is my job in parenting? Your eyes suggest LOL.
I wish this was a video podcast. No, I just, unfortunately, back then I was very much a high functioning codependent. So I would do everything in a sense. I'm not saying he didn't help because he did, but not I was also like, if I want it done right, I got to do it myself attitude. And I've gotten a lot better at that. But I was trying to take on everything. And he had a friend come over. Olivia was 5 months old. I had bought one of those customer service headsets. So, with one of the...
Yeah. Like Paula Abdul-ish.
Yeah, but so I could take conference calls while I was with her. And he was like, what the hell are you doing? And I got off the phone. He's like, you need a nanny. I'm like, no, I don't. I wanted to do everything. And I think... Oh God, if I could go back to my old self and tell me like, it's okay to delegate. It's okay to get help. You can't do it all. And you're going to end up being so burnt out that you're not even happy. And I know that everybody always says like, put your mask on before you put, anybody else's. And we all have heard that analogy a million times, but it's true.
Yeah.
It is so true because when you're in a bad mood, especially as the mom, everything falls apart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like a lot of pressure to be in a good mood.
Our society and the way that people are also assume that the mom takes care of everything.
Yes.
When the school calls, they always call the mom first.
Fucking washing machine.
Yep. You've got to take care of it.
Yes.
The mom gets called first. When something came, we're in, I don't know when you're listening to this, but it's the holidays. And when there's gifts giving, it's always the moms who are texted. Like, why?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Why do we have to take care of everything?
Yeah. I made a point when our son started preschool on all of the forms to like put both of our contact information. And I put a little asterisk that was like, call us, like take turns calling who you're going to call first.
Yeah. They won't. They'll call you first.
They're pretty good about it.
Yeah.
They're like, a little bit progressive in that regard. But those sorts of things really get under my skin when it's like, why is it assumed that it's me? That drives me up the wall.
It drives me up the wall, especially because I am a single mom and I take care of a lot, but everybody just assumes it. And I usually take the role. I usually deliver.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like both they're going to do it. And also I want to do it right. So I'm going to do it.
Yes. Right. So now I'm showing my daughter how important it is to also take time for myself.
Right.
Yeah.
And do you think she's like seeing that and noticing that?
100%. Last year I went to the Hoffman Institute, which was...
People love a Hoffman experience.
Yeah. It's up north for anyone who's listening who doesn't know. And it's 7 days. You don't get your phone. Everything's stripped from, you can't read, the whole thing. And I told her it was the first time I was ever going to go a day without talking to her.
And this is intensive therapy that often looks at like family histories and past trauma.
Yes.
And you sort of unpack it and figure out what it means for your identity. And
a lot of inner child work.
Yes.
But I told her, it's going to make me a better mom. And she couldn't understand that. She's like, you are a good mom. Like, you're a great mom. She didn't want to leave, but I was like, I'm doing this for me too.
Yeah.
And, it helped me become a better human being, not just a mom, but a better friend, a better sister, a better partner, et cetera, et cetera.
So much about what I feel like people talk about with their own childhood memories is the examples that they saw in their parents. It's not like, oh, son, let me sit you down and give you some wisdom. It's like, oh, I saw my parents working really hard, or I saw that like one parent didn't do X thing. And it's kind of a response to that experience. And coming to other cliches, like your actions speak louder than your words, and what your kids see you do is much more than you telling them to be polite or say please and thank you.
Right.
They need to see you doing the stuff.
Correct.
And
but I'm sure
really
when
hard.
Olivia's 19, she's going to, have some complaint over something that I did. I mean,
Of course. So my mom's a psychologist, and
oh boy.
And we recently had this interesting discussion where I just was like, I fully expect that at some point my kids as young adults will go to therapy and figure out something I did that made them really upset. I fully expect that.
Yeah.
And will it make me sad that they're sad or upset or mad at me? For sure. But am I going to respond, but I was such a good mom to you, I did blah, blah. I'm going to say I'm sorry, and I'm so sorry you felt that way.
Yeah.
And that is, I think, a generational change, right? She was like, it's so sad that you feel like they're going to do that. And I was like, I think it's an inevitability.
Oh, it's just
self-discovery is part, like you're mining your past constantly for who you are in the present.
Yes.
So it's like, of course they're gonna, and it's gonna be stuff I don't even realize I'm doing.
Right.
And I think for her and her generation, I think it's a little bit of a surprise that us as kids are coming to them being like, hey, that thing you did or didn't do like really fucked me up.
Yeah.
Like it really got me. And they're immediately go into the defense mode.
That's right.
And it's like, well, you don't have to. Like, you can still say, you know what, I love you, and I'm so sorry.
I did the best I could.
I didn't realize I'm so sorry. I want to hear what you're discovering now and how it makes you feel. Like, wouldn't that be liberating for everybody?
I mean, I'll let you know if that ever happens.
It doesn't mean you're a shitty person.
No, it doesn't. We're human beings. We're allowed to make mistakes.
We're fallible. It's part of the thing. So when you guys decide to part ways, was there like an inciting incident, or was this just like a growing apart, or what precipitated this partnership is not working anymore?
I think that I did everything I could to try to fix that relationship, and it became clear that it wasn't going to be fixed. So I realized that, I didn't want Olivia to grow up in a household where there wasn't just love. So I made the decision to end the relationship.
And was there like a whole protracted custody thing, or was it very straightforward?
We weren't married. So It was easy.
How does that work actually? If you're not married and you have a kid together, obviously in California.
I think it's different for everybody. We've never had to get lawyers involved or anything. It was
That's amazing.
Conversations.
That's great.
Yeah.
And he is still in the picture in some way?
Yes. As far as Olivia is concerned, we're best friends.
That's really nice.
Yes, it is very nice because I have friends who do it the opposite and they have to talk on Family Wizard. If you don't know what that is, it's awful. I mean, God bless you if you have to use it, but it's like Is
it like monitored FaceTime?
Yes. No, it's monitored like communication with the other parent, and it's usually because the courts can see it. And it's like, oh my God, parenting is so difficult to then have to deal with fighting with your ex. I pray for those people because life's already difficult enough as it is, but it's sometimes inevitable if you have somebody who's a jackass.
So you decide to part ways, and there's some like rules of engagement, like this is how we want Olivia to feel about us, or did it just kind of organically happen?
Organically happened. Thank God he and I parent her similarly.
That's
great. There was never an issue about that. We always, for the most part, are on the same page with everything, so we don't have to fight about that stuff.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah.
And does she ever had questions like?
Oh, all the time. All the time. And it's funny because like her kids, friends ask, why aren't your parents together? Why isn't there? It's like, mind your own business, deal with shit. No, I'm kidding.
But that is interesting that like there are even the questions, because I feel like now families do really come in all shapes and sizes. And
but you'd be surprised like in
maybe Olivia's, it's her age.
A lot of their parents are still together. So Olivia, why weren't you married? She asked me. Like, I don't know, ask your dad why he never asked me.
He had plenty of time.
He had plenty of time. But no, I mean, like, I think the older she gets, the more I'll explain to her. But I don't think she'll probably have to be 16 to 18 until I tell her the absolute truth.
Yeah. And even then it's like the utility, like what truth is useful for her? I don't know.
I don't know. But I think that, I wish I knew more about my parents' situation, and it took me prying in my 40s to get it.
Yeah.
And I think it would have helped me a lot in my 20s to understand why I was doing where my patterns came from.
I think I'm still putting those pieces together, honestly. And it's only been maybe a little bit easier once I started looking at my parents as people.
Yes, that's what I'm telling you. It was until I was like my late 40s that I realized my parents actually did the best they could.
They're people.
And they were in their 30s when they broke up. In their 30s.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't even have Olivia until I was 38. My parents, I think they were in their early 30s, mid 30s when they broke up.
Yeah.
And they had 2 kids and a mortgage. Like, oh my God, give them a break.
Yeah.
But for all my 20s and 30s, I'm like, fuck them.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, oh, they're human beings.
Yeah.
I also did psilocybin, which helped me see that too.
That's on my to-do list for 2025.
Girl.
My mom actually just got approved, not like a year or so ago, to help people integrate their experiences after doing psilocybin.
Amen.
She's such a prude though, so it's so funny that like she's like really into all of this stuff, because my whole childhood like wouldn't even go near pot or something.
I called 911 the first time I smoked pot. I actually called 911.
And what was the phone call like?
Well, my friends were like, who are you on the phone with? I was like, don't worry, it's 911. They're going to come get me. And they're like, get the fuck off the phone. Then they took me to Tommy's Burgers in Burbank. And then I went to my friend's house freaking out. I was so paranoid. I called the drug hotline, swear to God. And they told me not to smoke pot. Which was like, no shit, Sherlock. But like, what do I do now? Because I think that they're aliens coming to get me.
Oh my God. What kind of pot was that? Now,
I swear,
the psilocybin experience, a lot of people say that it helps them like find big truths in the universe and stuff.
It did.
Did you really feel that way?
100%. For me.
And did you do like a whole guided thing?
Yes. I had like a therapist come and do it with me privately.
Amazing.
Because I thought, I'm not a druggie. I don't like to be out of control.
Yeah.
So I can't smoke pot. If I can't smoke pot, I'm going to do mushrooms. Like, what am I thinking? But so I was freaking out. But then I had somebody who was a therapist who understood what I was trying to get out of the experience.
What was the big question? Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't have to tell me, but like,
no.
you know,
Well,
helping you shape your question and your journey.
But the truth of the matter is, and if anybody's listening who doesn't, they know, like, I didn't even fucking talk the entire time. So like, I'm glad somebody was there, but it wasn't like I was in a therapy session. I didn't even say a word.
Yeah.
I was just crying for 4 hours.
Yeah. You're just releasing a bunch of stuff probably.
It's amazing.
To-do list. So, okay. Olivia is asking questions. She's curious. Her friends are curious. Are you a person in the world who is dating and...
I'm in a relationship.
You mentioned a boyfriend.
Mm-hmm, yes.
And how is all of that in this context? Does your ex have like...
They get along.
Great.
Yes.
And was it one of those things, did you have rules like, I want to wait this long before he meets Olivia?
I was...
I feel like
I definitely... Yes. I think that waiting some time is important because you don't want... Everyone's different, but for me, I didn't want Olivia to get attached to people and then they leave, attached to people and they leave. And I had a relationship that was long-term in between that didn't work out. And I had a lot of guilt about that because I left because of me. But I think Olivia, she liked having some, they had a connection. But I also realized that, that's one of the things, stories I'll end up telling her when she's older.
Right.
Probably why, what really happened. But now I'm like... just didn't work out.
Yeah. That's kind of all you can do, I guess. And for this person, has he been married before? Does he have kids of his own?
No
He's
kids.
Just fresh pal.
He is. He is like no drama. Like couldn't be a better situation. Blank slate.
But how old is he?
42.
So do you feel, I often wonder this about guys who haven't had an attachment, who are older in life. Are there any things where it's like, you've never had to compromise, sir, because you don't have your, like, you know what I mean?
No, and our second date, he kept wanting to see me. And I'm like, look, I'm not having any more kids. I'm not, these are my things. Like, you are going to have to realize that I have a child.
Yeah.
You're not going to have any kids with me. And so long term, and he was fine with all of it. So my friends thought I was crazy, like saying that so early on dating, but I didn't want to waste time.
Yeah.
I needed to know do you have debt? What's your credit score? Like, what are
the deal breakers here?
But I think
what's your credit score?
In the beginning, I did think that he lived a life of independence.
Yeah.
And now there is dependence. And I think a part of him, or I know that a part of him appreciates that.
Yeah. It's nice to feel needed.
Yes.
And wanted.
Yes.
And a part of something.
Absolutely.
It also can be really inconvenient sometimes.
Yeah, it hasn't been yet, thank God.
Yeah. Well, it's also...
I just knocked on wood.
It's a literal knock on wood. Amazon folding table for the win. Now, does Olivia spend time with her dad?
Yes.
So you get some time
alone
to recharge.
Yes. Yeah, which is nice.
Last night at dinner with some friends, somebody said, being divorced looks kind of nice.
Yeah.
Like,
that's what my friend said to me the other day.
Like, there's a little bit of a break. Like, there's a little bit of like, well, you're over there, so I don't know what you're eating for dinner tonight, but it's not my fucking problem.
Yes. Okay. So, of course. And I think a lot of my friends who are in a marriage look at my situation. I get like every other weekend to myself. Yes. Great. You see that side of it, but you don't see that I'm taking care of most things by myself. I don't get to go to the grocery store without Olivia at night. I don't get to go to the gym at night. I don't get to do anything. I'm the sole person.
I'll come sit on your couch.
Thank you. But I'm the sole person to do homework with her, to read with her, to play with her. There's no splitting.
You're either full on or you're full off.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're okay with that, then leave him.
Just you hear that, folks?
Just kidding. I'm just kidding.
And when it comes to sort of Olivia's now entering this chapter of like kids are being shitty, especially girls.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have you are a feisty Capricorn, as we have established from New Jersey. Do you have a game plan for her for like what you're gonna say when she comes home?
I'm scared for the people's parents. I'm scared for the kids, because I texted you the other day because I saw a nanny in the middle of the street and I was going to tell our whole WhatsApp neighborhood group.
Yeah.
Because I was worried about this baby that I don't even know.
Sure.
So if I already have that kind of feeling about a baby that I don't even know, how do you think I'm going to be with bullying? I don't think so good. But I let last night go. I let it go. I
Sure.
didn't call the parents. I gave Olivia role play. We role played. Like if
That's good.
Yeah, I said, so Olivia, if somebody says this to you, how do you respond?
There is one, and I'm not like one to massively celebrate loads of Instagram accounts, but there's this one woman from
Dr. Becky?
Nikki Marie.
Okay.
Not Dr. Becky. Because
Okay.
Dr. Becky, you're great. I get the thesis. I'm not totally bought into everything. But like I get it.
Okay.
I get the idea. Nikki Marie is this just like badass mom from Massachusetts who's recently divorced. And I just love the way that she talks to her kids about like shitty kids.
Okay, I'll have to look at her, or you send it to me.
Yeah, she's just like a little salty, a little punchy. She's kind of like let them embodied in a person, and she's I hope I remember to talk to my kids like the way she talks to her kids.
I'll have to look at it.
Because she just really empowers them to kind of let them.
That's
You
what I
know?
said. Well, the role playing, Olivia, thank God, I was making fun of her as a pretend kid, and she was like, "Okay, well, that's your opinion." I'm like, "Yes,
Yes.
it's exactly what you do."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's tough because it's like if you get involved,
Wait,
could
you're
make
the
it
crazy-
worse.
Yes, 100%. You could just make it worse. It's like a ticking time bomb. But I'm figuring it out. I'm learning just as much as everyone else.
oh my goodness. And for your podcast, because I'm aware, I want to make sure you have time to go do your voiceovers before you pick up your child from school, which by the way, is truly what this podcast is all about. Squeezing in work
Squeezing.
while you're doing, I have school pickup soon too. Your podcast, you talk about, there's kind of like some overlap, right?
It's mostly like self-development. It's called Redesigning Life, but if I have designers on, we're talking about their childhood. We're
Yeah.
not talking about paint colors.
Right. Well, because I know that you have said that your sort of Cuban background has been a big part of your design aesthetic.
Yes, loud and colorful and fun. But my passion is self-development and motivating people and figuring life out and using different modalities and finding what works for you. So my new project that I just wrapped on, that's airing in Hulu, is
Ooh.
a show that merges design, parenting, spirituality, all of the things.
What's
Yeah.
it called?
The Sabrina Soto Show.
Oh my God.
I know.
Okay.
It was
oh
a
my,
lot. And I shot it all across the street.
Oh my God. Okay.
Did you remember that one week where there were so many cars?
Yeah, but there's so many commercials that are
I
shot
know.
in this neighborhood that at this point I'm just like,
I had 33 guests in 5 days.
oh my God.
I know. It was wild.
Okay, well, I absolutely can't wait. And you're right, this is going to be a two-parter, but there is so much to talk about. I feel like you're just on the other side of like the next chapter of parenting. You know, my oldest is 4.
Yes.
You're dealing with like now there comes to be like first it's all the like it's the breastfeeding, it's the visceral body stuff, it's the feeling tired, the shitty sleep, the whatever.
The strollers, the car seats, those things also are a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
The objects.
stuff.
It's the child and the objects that go with it.
For
are
the
a pain
neat
in the
for
ass.
the neat freak. And then
Yeah.
you now are in this new chapter though, which is like starting to be emotionally complex.
Yes, but so fucking fun. Like she is. I just love I love her as a human being. I know that sounds weird. She's my daughter.
No.
But
I think it
actually
sounds appropriate.
I like who she is as a human. And I don't even take ownership of that. She came into the earth this cool.
Yeah.
I just happen to be her mom. Like the other day, she was talking to me all wrong, and I asked
Like with
her-
an attitude.
Yeah, with an attitude. And I was like, "Do you talk to your teacher like that?" And she said, "No." And I said, and we were getting in the car, and I was like, "Well, then you need to realize that you shouldn't talk to me like that." And she stopped. She was like, "Well, maybe if you talk to me like my teacher does, then I wouldn't talk to you like that." I was
Woof.
like, oh, I guess you're right. Okay, get in the car.
That's so good.
She's right.
She is right. That's
Yeah.
incredible.
I know. She's very funny.
And like by the way, Olivia is the eminent parenting expert of the day because that's what everybody says, right? Like you don't want your kid to yell, then don't yell.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So
Yeah.
you don't want them to be salty, don't be salty.
I know, but I'm not. I like
Everybody's
salty.
gotta be
I like
salty. It's not possible.
Salted up girl.
Well, I'm so excited to see the show.
Thank you.
This is really exciting. It's also just amazing to see someone go for what they want
It
and
took 10 years though.
and put in the work.
I pitched that show for 10 years, and what's wild is what started my whole career on TV, The Secret. If you haven't seen The Secret yet, have you?
I watched. I did. No, I did.
I can tell with your eyes. You don't.
I
know
did
what I'm
about 15 years ago.
So there's one of the new thought teachers. His name's Michael Beckwith, and I loved him. He has the Agape Center in Beverly Hills, and he, who was on The Secret, ended up being a guest here in my house on the show. So I was just in tears, like
full circle.
Yes, it really was such an amazing experience to be able to have him in my home in a show that took me 10 years to pitch and sell, and that I executive produced myself. Like, it was wild. It still is to me, like a pinch me moment.
Well, you now have a whole new team of cheerleaders because everybody here is, I already know, obsessed with you because I'm obsessed with you. I'm only upset that it took 3 years of living across
Why
the
didn't
street.
you just come over?
You know what? I think when we first moved in, you guys like delivered chocolate or something around the holidays.
Oh, yes. You remember that.
And I just was like, who is this? Like, who are these put together people who have the presence of mind
No,
to be like, welcome to the neighborhood? And I literally just remember being like, I'm never going to be that put together.
Well, I haven't given you chocolate since, so obviously neither am I.
No. I think it was like here you are, you're new.
It was those little truffles.
Yeah, they were.
They got
right? Eaten too. And I think that was before my son was allowed to eat chocolate, so we definitely ate them all.
There was no curdled milk in those, I don't think.
That you know of. Sabrina, this has been such a treat.
Thanks for having me.
Team, I need your help. If you love it here, please like and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. Subscribe to the Substack for full access to this episode's show notes and join the discussion. And of course, follow me on Instagram at Mutha, MUTHA.life for a daily look at all things Mutha. Thanks for listening. Be sure to tune in next week for another Chat in the Closet. This podcast was produced by Mutha Life, music by Ronan Landa. See you next time.